Hey, what is up, everybody? I am here to give you guys my Movie Monday reviews, where I sit down every Monday and review a movie, which pretty much is how the title got its name. Not the most, probably the most generic title name for a show ever. And yes, even though I'm doing the Halloween movie review series currently, I will still be doing the Movie Monday review series every week. This is kind of a way where I can review other movies without only having to do Halloween movie review series. So I'm here to give you this one. And today, I'm going to be reviewing a movie that I've pretty much watched about 1,000 times. I started watching it when I was really young. I don't exactly know how it happened. I think my sister liked this movie a lot, so I would watch it all the time. And this was going to be a movie that we would watch, I think, every day. We had it on VHS tape, and we watch it literally every day. I could literally probably tell you, I probably didn't even need to watch the movie last night, and I could literally tell you every scene that happens chronologically in order. Don't think that's going to happen, but we're going to have to wait and see. So maybe I'll probably be a little biased when I actually review this movie because of more of a nostalgia thing, but we're going to have to wait and see on that. So I'll just say what movie this is. This is Homeward Bound. Like I said, we watch this movie all the time. This movie obviously was made by Disney, and this is based on the movie that was released before this, called The Incredible Journey. This is pretty much the same movie, except Disney took their own spin on it, and I've wanted to see The Incredible Journey for a while, but I haven't really wanted to at the same time because I feel like it would kind of ruin my enjoyment of this movie, because that one is more realistic. I think The Incredible Journey doesn't really have exactly what makes this movie awesome. So this movie came out though on February 3rd, 1993. The movie starts off. This movie takes place. I don't exactly know where it takes place. I have to look that up real quick because I didn't. I wanted to say San Francisco, but that's the other one that takes place in San Francisco. It's filmed around. It doesn't actually say where it's filmed. I actually thought that I had that in there, but it says here because most of this movie takes place in the Surya Nevadas. So it doesn't exactly give like a location though where it's filmed. It really doesn't say. But the movie starts off. And it's narrated pretty much. The whole movie is narrated by the main character. He's one of the three main characters, but he narrates this whole movie. And his name is Chance. And he starts talking about how he was on lived on the streets for a while, and it put him behind bars. And it shows the camera shows it like filming it actually at the train tracks. And then he talked about how he doesn't like to talk about the bad place. He lets to talk about after that, and he talks about how he was brought into a family. And by the way this person is talking, if you didn't know, well, one, if you didn't already look at the cover of this video and you hadn't seen The Incredible Journey, you wouldn't actually know that this was a dog that's talking. You would think it's a human. So I did like the way that was interpreted. But pretty much we find out that it was a dog. And you definitely figure out that it is, because one of the things that he talks about is he talks about all this great stuff that he gets to have now, that has a family, and one of the things that he talks about is all the dirty underwear he can eat, and unless this person's like some type of freak, I don't think he's eating you know I don't think he's eating dirty underwear, but I could be wrong. And you see Chance upstairs. He's a American Bulldog. I have this right here too, just so that way I can reference off of that. And Sassy comes in, and she's a cat. I don't exactly know what type of cat that she is. It says it in this movie too, and I don't even Himalayan cat. They actually do say it in this movie, and she hears Chance chewing this blouse, and he wakes him up, and they constantly bicker at each other, which I kind of like that part of the movie because that kind of has that whole cat and dog dynamic where cats and dogs don't like each other. And obviously one thing about this movie is you can actually hear what the cats and dogs are thinking, their perspective on the world, and it's kind of nice to hear that kind of stuff because you always question what cats and dogs actually think in real life, and I kind of like how people like movies like this will kind of give us their point of view and how they look at certain things, and I will get into that more when I get into this movie. But yeah, they pretty much bicker at each other, and Chance, because Sassy talks about how Chance was keeping her up from a beauty sleep, and then Chance is like, well, yeah, you'd have to sleep like for like a month, and they constantly bicker at each other pretty much, and then Chance continues to narrate the story, and pretty much what happened is we meet the entire cast. We meet Bob, and and doing this is as in the opening scenes, pretty much the wedding. Bob is marrying Laura, and Bob's the new person coming into the family. Laura has 3 kids. One of them is Peter, who's probably, I would say, from what I saw in this movie, he's definitely 6th grade. I would say, because I don't think he looks like he's about in 6th grade. Hope would probably, and Peter owns a dog, golden retriever named Shadow. The way that Chance describes this, though, is he actually talks about it like Shadow belongs to Peter, so he actually kind of mixed up the ownership between human and pet, which I thought was kind of funny. And then Hope owns Sassy, and Jamie owns Chance. Hope, like I said, is 3rd grade. Jamie, definitely kindergarten, 5th grade-ish. And but Chance doesn't really consider Jamie his owner. He considers he talks about how he likes to just fend for himself because he's really the new dog coming into the family, so he doesn't really seem to care about all this family stuff. But yet you have Shadow, who's obviously loyal towards Peter. He always is right by Peter's side, and they show that throughout this movie. It actually kind of leads to the reason why this movie happens. And obviously I think because he's a golden retriever too. And Sassy, well, there's a reason why they call her Sassy. She always has those witty comebacks and acts like she is the boss of everybody, and she always gets what she wants. Which I thought was which I like her, which I think is a great character. And yeah, Chance is just murdering and just chewing this blouse, and Sassy's like, why don't you just kill that thing? It's dead. So Chance swallows a button, and Sassy starts mouthing off, saying that should have said that that should have been a zipper, pretty much saying that he should have just that it should have killed him. So Chance starts chasing after her after she bickers at him a ton of times, and the family overhears this as they're about to kiss the bride, which was hilarious. I mean, they just hear all this stuff knocking over, and then Chance is begging for food, and this is like one of those instances where I talk about how I like how you can hear this perspective, because you actually question like what dogs think when they actually are begging for food, and Chance pretty much puts this in perspective. He's begging for food. He's putting the puppy dog eyes. He's acting like he hasn't eaten in a week. And I thought that was actually pretty funny. And Sassy, being Sassy, talks about how how Chance is going about this all wrong, and she talks about how she gets food by pretending that she doesn't want food. Sassy actually goes up to Hope, and Hope offers her shrimp, and she just is acting like she's not interested. So then she eats it, and then Sassy pretty much says that cats are smarter than dogs. And she thinks that cats are way smarter than dogs, just to kind of get at Chance. This becomes a recurring thing in this movie, and Chance then spots a wedding cake, so he wants to go after that wedding cake. And then we see Peter and Shadow playing ball together, and like I've talked about before, Shadow is very loyal to Peter, and Chance sees this, and he just is like, he just doesn't like this mushy stuff. He doesn't really understand it. So then Bob comes up, and we find out that the family's going to be going away to San Francisco, because Bob has to go do some work up there. He's, I believe, a professor at a college. They didn't really go into too much detail about that. They didn't really need to either, because it really wasn't about them. And apparently they can't take the dogs there. I guess because it's not a very... They didn't really say why that they couldn't take them. Maybe because it had to do with a living arrangements. I'm not exactly sure. But Peter's upset that he has to leave Shadow because Laura has a friend named Kate who owns like a huge ranch that has horses and stuff like that, and Peter's worried that Shadow's gonna think that he's abandoned him, and Bob's like, he's not gonna really, he's gonna be way too busy doing all kinds of fun stuff like chasing chickens and ducks and stuff, and there's tons of stuff for both of you guys to do. But Peter's just like, well, there's tons of stuff we can do here, so he's just not happy that he has to leave Shadow because he loves Shadow. So Bob gets upset about this, and then this is actually one of the most hilarious parts of the whole movie. Then Bob and Laura are about to cut the wedding cake, and Chance eats it. He just devours it. And what was funny was the mother made this cake, so she was all... you actually would have thought that she was going to have a heart attack over it, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. Chance just full-on dive, eats the cake. And then later on in the movie, when Hope is trying to get Sassy to stay, so that way they can go on the seesaw together, Chance, to get back at Sassy for her comments earlier, slingshots her right into the sandbox, which was awesome. And then the family gets ready to leave to drop the pets, I should say, to the ranch. And Chance throws up all the wedding cake before then, which was pretty nasty. We didn't actually see it though, so that was good. And Chance talks about how he was finally starting to warm up to the family. He started to feel like that they were his family, and he said that he could get used to hanging around with Shadow, Sassy, and even Jamie at some points. Then the family arrives at the ranch. Chance immediately goes to chase after the chickens. Yeah, pretty much the kids aren't happy, except Jamie. He doesn't really seem to mind. But Hope and Peter aren't happy that they have to leave their pets there, and especially Peter. So, pretty much what happens is, Kate, reveals that she's gonna have to go away for a couple of days because she has to do a horse trail, and her neighbor Frank's gonna come take care of the animals as she's gone, and, then, Hope, hands Sassy off to Kate, and Peter's saying goodbye to Shadow, and Peter's upset that he has to say goodbye to Shadow, but Shadow doesn't really understand that he's upset, but he knows he's upset. So I thought that was a very good scene, and then Peter leaves Shadow, and and Shadow's just like doesn't understand. He tells him to stay. After Bob and Jamie throw the frisbee to Chance, Chance sees that the family has abandoned him, and then Shadow doesn't really understand. So why Peter would leave, because then he can't do all the stuff that they normally do together. So Shadow's gonna wait for Peter until he comes back, and then the next scene is Kate feeds the animals breakfast, and Chance is chasing the chickens, and I loved the KFC references they did when Chance was chasing these chickens. He talked about how they were going to be, how these chickens are from Kentucky, and how he's going to have them fried and crispy. I love the KFC references, even though I don't think it was an intentional reference, but that's the way I took it. But yeah, the animals eat the breakfast. Chance just devours his food, and Kate accidentally steps on Sassy's tail, and Sassy doesn't want to eat her breakfast because Kate didn't make it the way she liked it, so Chance eats it on her. And then they go through this montage of Chance having fun at the farm. He goes to the horses. He chases after the ducks, calling them bath toys. He goes in there and sees that a pig, and he says, "What happened to your fur?" And the pig gets offended. And throughout this movie, he was trying to get into the chicken coop, and he finally gets in, and he starts chasing the chickens, and then he sees the turkey, and then he gets freaked out by it, and says, "Whoa, it's Birdzilla," which I liked that reference, the Godzilla reference. And this scares Chance, and he runs off, and then, Chance goes to tell Shadow and Sassy about it, and Shadow is still waiting for Peter, and Chance tries to tell him, look, they're not coming back, because Chance has been abandoned before, and he just pretty much thinks that the same things happen, but Shadow doesn't want to believe it, and he's upset that Chance would say that, being that he's a dog. And Sassy was like, didn't you see how upset Jamie was when he left? And Chance was like, geez, sorry, I didn't know anybody cared so much. So then later on, Peter tries to call Shadow on the phone to let him know, because they were supposed to come back earlier than they were going to, but they have to hold it off another week. And Shadow just balks, even though he doesn't know what happened, because he doesn't understand when they put the phone towards the dogs, which it was kind of nice to see that the dogs take that perspective. And Chance is actually starting to warm up to the ranch, just because there's a lot more fun stuff to do. He's chewing shoes, and then eventually Kate leaves. She goes to leave on a horse trail, and she gets locked in. And Chance talks about, how he hates being locked in. He brings him bad memories of the pound. And then Shadow starts to realize that something's wrong, because Peter hasn't shown up in a long time. So he realizes that, and the quote that he exactly uses is that something's keeping Peter from coming to him, so I'm going to go to him. Because Chance continuously tells him that Peter abandoned him. But Shadow doesn't want to believe it, so he leaves, and he jumps over like a log, like a tree stump, and goes right over the fence. And Sassy thinks that Shadow's being crazy, that it's way too far, and she gets worried that they could possibly be coming back looking for him. But Shadow just isn't listening. He wants to leave. So then Sassy jumps over the fence and leaves. And Chance at first isn't gonna go, but then Birdzilla pops up, so this scared Chance away. Then they leave. Um, throughout this movie, by the way, they try to make it seem like that Shadow is the old, wise, knowledgeable dog because he's the oldest one out of all of them. He's the one that's most knowledgeable. Chance is obviously the young pup who likes to get into mischief, and I should have mentioned this in the beginning, and obviously he still hasn't had like a real family yet, so he's still kind of learning. He doesn't really love. He just likes to be kept to himself, and like I've mentioned, Sassy's the sassy one. So then the Shadow says they originally the house was supposed to be right over the mountain, which Shadow isn't wrong, but because they're walking and not driving a car, when they get over the mountain, they see that it's just all woods, trees, and forests and stuff. Which I love the view that they captured when they showed this, because I thought that it was a great view. Whoever shot that deserved a big payday for that. And then when they see that it's not, when they see that that's not the house, Shadow still is persistent. He still wants to go see Peter. But Sassy calls him crazy because Shadow's not as young as he used to be. He's older than he used to be. Chance is like, and Chance doesn't even think that the house is out there. And Shadow says that it's believes that it's out there because he's got a sixth sense, and one day they'll have it as well. Probably Chance. I don't know about Sassy. So Shadow's is insistent on going home. Chance goes with him. He tries to act all tough. This becomes a recurring thing throughout this movie. Where he walks, where he's gonna protect Shadow. At first, Sassy doesn't want to go. She actually utilizes a reference earlier when she's like, "Wow!" When they get to the mountain woods, she goes, "Wow, Shadow, you've really taken us. You've really come through. I guess but I'm gonna sit here and wait for the bus." So then Shadow's like, "Yeah, you wait for that bus." And so then Sassy goes with them. They show this montage of them walking through nature, which I thought was nice. Then it shows some scenes of Chance going around and exploring nature. They see that someone took a landfilled crap that was huge. Chance goes around and he explores the different animals. He barks at a raccoon. He barks inside a log, and he smells an interesting smell, which ended up being a skunk, because I guess the skunk didn't spray him because they would have been a bigger scene than what it would have been. The skunk actually laughed at him, which was funny. And then Chance is having the time of his life. He says that he could go like this for days. And then when nightfall comes, he starts getting tired. And obviously, daytime, great. It was a great time to be out there. During the night, though, looked very spooky. Chance was very afraid. They show a snake. They show owls. And all the animals that would come out during night. And Sassy's sleeping up on the trees. Then they hear this noise. And Chance is like, "What was that?" And Shadow says that it was a moose. And Chance doesn't know what it is, so Shadow tells him what a moose is, and talks about how it eats the tails off smaller animals. And Sassy's like, "Well, they can't climb trees, can they?" And Shadow's like, "They don't have to. They can just reach right up to the top." So Shadow tries to get Sassy to sleep down on the ground with them. Shadow doesn't want to do. Sassy doesn't want to do that. So then the scene ends with the moose making just a huge noise, acting like he's just eating something. Then the next morning, Sassy got so afraid she actually slept down on the dirt with them, and Chance actually makes fun of her for it. Says, "Wow, look who's down look who's down on the dirt with the dogs." And then he goes, "Morning, honey," and licks her face. And then Shadow comes up and says that they found their breakfast, and they're gonna go fishing. Chance is struggling to get a fish, so Sassy was the one that was able to get the fish, which I thought was a nice utilization of Sassy, because Sassy's a cat, she would be able to get the fish easier than Shadow or Chance would. And that's how Shadow got his. So Sassy agrees to give Chance the fish if she says that cats wool and dogs drool. So then she does, and Chance but Chance's fish is flopping around because it's out of water. And he wanted to do a couple of bears, and the bears try to get the fish, but Chance barks at him to scare him away. And Chance gets all cocky, thinking that he just smoked him and took out these bears. But then a huge bear comes out of the woods, and this scares Chance off, and they all run away. And then the next scene. This is actually probably one of the saddest moments of this movie. It made me cry every time I saw. Well, it didn't make me cry, but it made me get a little emotional every time I saw it. So the next scene is they have to swim across the river, and it's obviously because Sassy's a cat, she doesn't want to, and she can't obviously too. But Chance and Shadow are able to swim across just fine. So they try to talk Sassy into doing it. Sassy doesn't want to. She starts meowing at them. And Sassy, though, was able to find her own way to get across. There was a ton of stones and logs just stacked up right across the river where she could just go right across. And Shadow and Chance see her do this. But, of course, when she was walking across the log breaks, and Shadow falls in the river, and the current just starts taking her. And, of course, this happens right when they look away. So Shadow and Chance try to go after her and save her. I thought this was actually a great scene in terms of the camera work and the way it was envisioned. And Sassy was continuously being taken under the water. Shadow tries to save her, but then she gets sunken up by the waterfall. It just, as Shadow describes later on, just swallows her right up. And they try to go find her. They can't find her. And obviously at this point we are supposed to assume that Sassy didn't make it, that she died. Which I think probably what would have happened if this really happened in real life. So then Shadow feels a little guilty about it because he says that he had a responsibility to protect Sassy. The same responsibility that he has to Jamie, and that Chance had that Shadow has to Peter, and that Chance has to Jamie. You know, that dogs are put on to this world to protect and nurture their humans, pretty much. And Chance doesn't says, but we didn't ask for this job, and this says that we didn't have to. It's been built upon us since the first dogs and humans came together. And he just has this great speech on that. And Chance describes it perfectly. He says that looking at him that night, he seems so wise. And Chance reveals one day that he wishes he could be like him. And then the next day, Shadow pays his respects to Sassy and says that he'll miss Sassy. And at this point, we were supposed to have thought that Sassy was had died, that she didn't make it. But then what happens is we see this old guy bird watching, and he picks up Sassy, and he finds Sassy just washed out, and he picks her up, and when he realizes she's still alive, he goes to save her. He takes her back to his cabin, and he cleans her all up. And later on in the movie, we find out that she was able to make it through the night, and obviously she was gonna make it. And one joke that Sassy made that I liked was that my sixth life? Oh, I'll just say it's my fourth. But obviously, I think when I first had seen this movie, I was very happy that Sassy had made it. And it was definitely a great part of the movie. It was awesome. But then obviously Shadow and Chance start struggling a bit. Shadow and Chance, because Sassy's out of the they think is out of the picture, um, has they're struggling to get their own food. Chance won't stop barking. They try to get a bunny, but Chance goes after the bunny too soon. And then when Chance tries to get a fish, a crab pinches his mouth, which was very funny. So then what happens is the next scene, literally, actually, is Kate comes home from a. Well, actually, I didn't even mention this scene. See, I did forget something. So when her neighbor Frank comes up, earlier in the episode, Kate had written this note that she was gonna have the about how to feed these animals and everything. But what happens is when she closes the barn door, the note falls because of the wind. So then when Frank finds the note, he doesn't know that the animals have been missing all this time because he reads a different note that says that he took the animals with her. So he assumes that she took the animals she took all the pets with her. And when he finds out that wasn't the case, she tries everything to find these animals. And there was this guy that's all out in the mountains that's very knowledgeable about it, and pretty much says that there's no way domesticated animals would survive out there. So Kate's very upset about this, and Frank's like, "You've done everything you can." And then she realizes she hasn't done everything. So then obviously the family's at home very upset, and Peter wants to go look for him, and Bob says that they're not going to be able to do that because we have to be realistic. He talks about how we still have to maintain our lives out here, and he says that it may be a possibility we won't find them because finding 3 animals in the wilderness is like trying to find a needle in the haystack. Peter blows up at Bob because he gets upset because he knew he didn't want to go. He's like, "I knew you'd think I abandoned him, but you wanted to just come anyway. It's your fault. It's all your fault." And Peter just gets very upset. And obviously Bob's upset about this. And then Bob we find out that we didn't think Bob has been making lost, I forget what they call them, but flyers pretty much that says lost flyers, trying to find them. And later on in the movie, when Peter tries to go to report this to the cops, he at first tries to pretend that these are humans he's looking for, but then when when he has to say that Chance is white with black spots, he realizes that they were animals. So the cop gives him an idea to go post lost flyers, and then when Peter finds the flyer that Bob made, and Peter wants to know why he didn't say anything about him, but he said that he knows that he's not very happy with him, and he didn't want to get your hopes up that they could possibly find him. And Peter reveals that he misses Shadow. And overall, I thought this was very good. It showed that Peter was very upset. It showed the relationship between Bob and Peter, and I thought this was very good stuff in the in this movie. And then cutting back to the animals, we see that a mountain lion has spotted Shadow and Chance. So he wants to eat them. And while Shadow's looking for fish, Chance spots it. At first, Shadow doesn't see it, but then he finally does. The mountain lion chases Shadow and Chance, and a quote that I loved that Shadow and Chance said is, Chance said, "This is crazy. I'm running from a cat." And Shadow says, "I won't tell if you won't." And Chance like, "Well, this is no ordinary house cat. This is like Arnold Schwarzenegger," which I liked that quote right there, which I like that reference as well. They reference in Arnold Schwarzenegger. And you could technically say that this doesn't really make any sense that animals would know Arnold Schwarzenegger, Godzilla, but I can counteract that by saying that maybe because humans like to watch TV, maybe because Chance and like Shadow and stuff are around Peter and stuff so much when they're watching TV, they would pick up on this type of stuff. But anyhow, that's besides the point. So yeah, they're running away from him, but then they realize they're gonna get caught because they are coming off on a cliff. So then Chance realizes they may not make it, so then he mentions that the remote, all the stuff that he's hidden, the TV remote's under the seesaw. So this gives Shadow idea. There's like this rock that's set up like a seesaw, and this gives Shadow an idea. So what happens is Shadow lures the mountain lion all the way to Chance. I thought the chase scene that they had was very good. Then eventually Chance jumps off the cliff and jumps on the seesaw on the rock with that looks like that's shaped like a seesaw, and the mountain lion gets slingshotted right into the water. I thought that was great. This was the exact same thing that happened to Sassy, which made it awesome. And Shadow and Chance are happy about the victory. They're balking, and Sassy overhears this, and she runs over to find Shadow and Chance, and she finds them, and when Shadow and Chance see Sassy, they're overwhelmed with joy, and they pretty much reunite. And I think this kind of showed that Shadow and that Chance and Sassy were kind of starting to change, because this was the first time that Chance had actually lost somebody important to him. Because yes, Jamie is his owner and stuff, but he could claim that Jamie abandoned him. Sassy, not so much. And yeah, it kind of felt like that the gang was back together again. And afterwards, they go fishing, and they eat like kings and queen, which was awesome. And they're all talking about stuff that they want to do. And throughout this time, all Chance cared about was just having fun, going straight for the garbage. He didn't really care to see Jamie. But then Chance lets it slip and says that I just can't wait. I can't wait to see the look on Jamie's face when I see him. And then Shadow's like, Jamie, I thought you didn't care about him. So this kind of does show that Chance is starting to change. But then to change the subject, he sees a porcupine, and of course you know where this is going if you've seen this movie. So then Chance wants to sniff this thing, and the porcupine runs away, and then he I don't really know but then he attacks Chance. He puts his thorns right into his mouth, and Sassy tries to rip them out, but she can't, and they're very deep. And Chance calls him a jerk, and a quote that Sassy used throughout this movie was, like my mother always said, curiosity always killed the dog. And Shadow said that you really are an American bulldog, aren't you? And then Chance says, I was just curious. So then the animals continue, their journey, and then they have to go swimming again. Obviously, Sassy's upset about this because of what happened before, but Chance can't probably go swimming because of these needles he's got sticking out of his mouth. So then they have to try to figure out a way to do that. However, Shadow hears a little girl crying, and this is a little girl that apparently got lost, and Shadow goes over to comfort her. At first, she's afraid of him, but then Shadow lets her know that he's a good dog, and then we see that the family is looking for this little girl, Molly, and Shadow hears this, so he goes over to warn the family. Chance at first is reluctant about this because he's worried that they may take us to the pound, but Shadow obviously was very persistent and says they're just looking for the little girl. So then Shadow goes over to these people. The people come over, they find Molly, and then they're overjoyed with joy that they were able to reunite with their little girl, and that the father and mother were able to reunite with their daughter. And then two of the people realize that that these were the same animals from the flyer. So one of them says that they're going home, and Shadow overhears this and he gets excited about it. And then the family finds out that the animals have been found. Bob's overjoyed about it. Peter, Hope, and then Jamie gets so happy about it, he drops the. They were rehearsing for the Great Pumpkin musical, and he drops it, and yeah, that was pretty funny. And you could just see that the family were overjoyed that they were finally able to find their animals. At least they thought. At least they thought so, anyways. Then what happens is Shadow realizes they make a wrong turn because Home's supposed to be in the completely other direction, and then they realize that they got taken to the pound, and yeah, so Chance freaks out. The animals get taken back to the Chance goes to get examined because of his needles, and Shadow gets locked up. So Sassy's able to escape, and one of the guys, he looked like he just was a creep. Not really a creep, but one of the guys, I forget his name. But one of the guys, he's just a complete fat ass and doesn't really look like he cares for animals. Is trying to find Sassy, but Sassy's like, no, dummy. So then Sassy goes to find Shadow and Chance, and I love the spy music they played when Sassy went looking for him. It was like she was on a mission. She releases Shadow from his cage, and in the vet's room, Chance is having all the stuff clipped, and obviously it kills, because it probably does, and they think he's hurting them. So the guy that was looking for Sassy earlier sees Sassy, and Sassy distracts him, and Shadow tries to save Chance, and Sassy is just having this guy go all over the place, and pretty much it's pretty much like chasing the chicken, pretty much. And Shadow opens the door, and right onto one of the guys, and Chance takes off, and the guy just trips and falls all over everything. And then the guy finally gets Sassy, grabs her right by her neck, and Shadow and Chance take him down. The first time he doesn't let go, and then they take him down a second time. They were able to let go, and then the pets try to escape through the fence. They were able to do so. Chance, however, almost doesn't escape. He gets caught, and then Shadow growls at the guy through the fence, and he falls over, and the pets are able to escape. And one of the guys come up and says, I'm starting to think that they planned this. So then the pets escape, but of course, as they're bragging about everything that happened, how they were able to escape, I think that I don't know how to say the last name, the Seaver family, their owners, drive right to the, pound, and Shadow starts to get a feeling that they should go back. But then, because obviously he realizes that they could possibly be at the pound. And Chance is like, what do you think? We should go back to the pound? Yeah. So then Shadow mistakenly doesn't go back. And then the people at the pound reveal that the animals have escaped. And, obviously it kind of, you could definitely, it was kind of a sad moment because this family was so overly with joy that they were able to that the pets had been found. And then you could just feel the sadness when they weren't found. And what I liked about this too is I always like when they have sad moments in movies that it rains, because it works so much better with the effects and stuff. So I really enjoyed that. And then Bob doesn't want to give up. He realizes that if the animals are going to make it this far, they should make it all the way home. So they said that they can't give up. They go through another montage of the animals going back towards home. And when they climb over the mountain, Shadow, Chance, and Sassy see that they've made it. And you could just feel like the overwhelming of joy that they had made all this journey. Because nobody said that they were going to be able to do it. That these domesticated animals, that it would be impossible. But they did it. Yes, they had some help because they got taken by the people with the pound. If that didn't happen, who knows how long it would have taken them. But they overcame all that adversity, and I thought that was awesome because normally that wouldn't happen, and it definitely, it proved it there. And then they go back. They still have one more stop to make, though. There's one more obstacle, because they've had to deal with so many obstacles before. So they have to cross the train tracks. Sassy almost gets hit by the train, and then Shadow asks Sassy if he's okay, and Sassy's like, yeah, I'm okay, but after this, I'm gonna live pampered. I'm gonna live like a rich girl, pretty much. And then Shadow goes to walk through. I don't even know exactly what it was. It was kind of like there was some old boards like in like a fence behind the train tracks, and Shadow falls through them, and he breaks his leg. So he has. So at first we think he died because he doesn't. He gets knocked out for a couple minutes, but then when he wakes up, Chance sees that there's like a steep part of the hole that he can climb out, and and Shadow tries again and again, and he can't climb out because of his leg, and Shadow's like, I can't do it, so he lays down and he gives up pretty much. And throughout this movie, it was Shadow's persistence that was able to carry this team to be able to get through it. He was the one that wanted to do this, and Chance goes down and gives a speech about how Shadow never quit, and there were times he wanted to quit, but because of Shadow's persistence, he was too stubborn to quit. And Chance forces him to try it again, but Shadow says that if you think it's easy for me to admit that I can't do it, I'm too old. Shadow says that now it's time for Chance to be on his own. He's learned everything he's had to learn. And Chance says, but I want you with me. And then Shadow says that it's time to learn to say goodbye. And then the scene cuts away with Chance saying, I won't let you give up. So at this point, we were going to question whether or not Shadow was going to make it or not. And I love this scene. This is another one of those scenes that makes me sad too, because he didn't really think that Shadow was going to make it either. We weren't even sure, and they did it so well. Like the fact that they cut away, it kind of left you questioning it. So then we revealed that the family's back home. I just don't remember the mom's name. That's the only person I don't remember. Laura, says that the family's happy just to be back home, the kids, and the Bob is playing basketball with the kids, and he's doing this thing where he puts the kids on the shoulders and they try to shoot the basketball, and Hope wants him to do it, and she says, come on, please, Daddy, please. Now this is important because the family never really thought of Bob as a father. They only called him Bob, really. Peter never really did after everything that had happened, and Hope never really called him a father. So this was kind of a huge moment for Bob. He was really with joy because of this. And then Jamie hears a dog bark, and he thinks it's Chance. And the family knows that it's Chance. At first, he doesn't say anything, and then Chance comes up and he reunites with Jamie. And then Sassy does the same thing. And then we get to the best part of this whole thing. Probably one of the best emotional parts of the movie. Shadow doesn't come out. And Peter waits for him, and he gets upset, and he's like, it was too far. It was just too... And he was old. He was just too old. And he gets upset because, pretty much Peter realizes that he just lost his dog. And they did a really good job showing this in the movie because Peter was the one that wanted to find the dogs. He didn't want to abandon Shadow. Shadow was the one that didn't want to abandon Peter. And then when Peter turns around, Shadow pops up from out of the woods. And when Peter turns around again, he sees Shadow. And they get happy. They reunite. And the way Chance described it was Shadow acted like a puppy again. You know, Shadow was reunited with his owner. And he was happy. And when Shadow popped right out of that thing, you couldn't help but get, like, at first I think you were emotionally crying because you didn't think Shadow made it. And you probably had a feeling that he probably did make it, but they did it so well where they made you think that he wasn't going to make it. So then when Shadow came out, Peter, when he turned around, I think everyone was overwhelmed with joy. And the way the writers did this scene and set up to this was very well. The main obviously the main story was the stuff going on with Chance, but Shadow, his main story was he wanted to reunite with Peter. If it wasn't for Shadow, this movie would have never happened. Peter wanted to reunite with Shadow. He didn't want to leave Shadow to begin with, and you could just felt like a dog reunite with his owner, like the true uniting of it. And then this made Chance realize, he goes on this whole spiel narration about how he finally, for the first time, had a family, because this journey changed Chance as well. This made Chance more appreciative of Jamie and his family, because before Chance just didn't really care about family, and going through this journey changed, I think, Chance. And then he goes in and realizes that there's Turkey. And then that was the end of the movie. They just go in and all the families reunited. And yeah. Now, obviously, like I'm going to talk about, I'm very biased towards this movie. I thought this movie was very enjoyable. I thought the story was great. You know, seeing these animals go on this breathtaking journey, and seeing each character, well, only really one of the characters changed, and that was Chance. But seeing Shadow's character, obviously you have the emotional stuff that happens with Sassy and Shadow. I just think this movie's fantastic. It's written very well. The characters, the people that play these characters, play them very well. Like if I had to think of something I hated in this movie, maybe that you didn't really see Kate and Frank really all that much after the animals had been. You found out the animals were lost, but I don't really think I hated that actually either, because it would have been pointless to show that. I'll try to think of something I hated, because there's no such thing as a perfect movie. But I can't think of anything. Like, I legit can't. Everything was done very well in this movie. I can't think of anything that I would hate about it. I gotta say, this is a perfect 10 out of 10 movie. Maybe they could have explained things like why the dogs couldn't go to the San Francisco to begin with, because that kind of would have been important to why they had to go to this ranch. Obviously, I could complain that they were unrealistic. I could complain that they were unrealistic. That that Sassy somehow was able to survive being swallowed up by a waterfall. I could complain about that, but I'm not gonna complain about it because it was written so well that you can't really complain about it. But I guess that could be something, because the movie could have just ended right there. What else could I complain about? Yeah, I can't think of anything, because the scenes that I didn't really think were important, I didn't really cover, and there wasn't a lot of scenes that weren't important, because everything had a purpose. Like, if that little girl didn't get lost, they wouldn't have gone to the pound. If so every scene was important. Like, if that old guy wasn't out there bird watching, Sassy could have died actually. So everything was important. So everything, like, if Peter hadn't gone to that police station asking for the police department to find his animals. He would have never found out that Bob made these flyers. So it's, I thought the relationships worked very well. I thought Peter and Shadow relationship was great. This movie. I like the stuff they did with the tension kind of between Bob and Peter. There's nothing I hated about this movie. I can't think of anything. Alright, so now that I've kind of gone through that, let me kind of go through my the people who the movie, by the way, was directed by Dwayne Dunham, and it was produced by Jeffrey Chernev and Franklin R. Levy. It was written by Carolyn Thomas, Linda Wolverlin, and Jonathan Roberts. He was uncredited for some reason. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. This movie. I want to see how much. I don't exactly know how much they put into this movie. I can't think of how much they produced into it. Like how much money. The budget. How much was budgeted into this movie? I don't think budgeted's a word, but I couldn't tell you. But this movie, for box office draws, it drew $41.8 million. That's fucking great. That's a huge amount of money. And people praise it mostly. They pretty much talk about how anybody could watch this movie. Adults, kids, anybody. So they praise it. For the cast, we had, for the voice of Chance, you had Michael J. Fox. And I'm not going to go through the other stuff that he's been in, because I've been trying to do that for the past my Halloween movie review series. If you want to know who's in, what other stuff they're in, you can just go through the internet. Michael J. Fox, though, is a very well-known name, though. The voice of Shadow is Don Emmich. I'm assuming that I don't know how to say his last name. He just recently passed away. He passed away, though, on December 6, 1993. The voice of Sassy is Sally Field. And then Bob Seaver is played by Robert Hayes. Laura Bonford Seaver, I don't know how to say the last name, is played by Kim Graced. Peter Burnford is played by Benj Thal. Hope Burnford is played by Veronica Lauren. Jamie Burnford is played by Kevin Chevalier. Quayton. Now Quayton, I believe, is the old guy that saved Sassy in this movie. They never said his name, so I don't know why they have it here, but maybe they said it and I didn't hear it. But he's played by William Edward Phipps. I'm assuming he's got to be. He's actually still alive, actually. Pretty surprised about that, actually. Desk Sergeant is played by Ed Bernard. This is the guy that Peter goes to talk to when he wants to find his pets. Frank is played by Gary Taylor. Kate is played by Jean Smout. And the bear is played by Bolt the Bear. They actually named a bear. Well, he was in other stuff, actually. So, he actually died on May 10th, 2000. He's a bear. It's not like he's a bear that they just have available at the zoo. He's been in other things, though. But that's actually pretty cool that they were able to use him in this movie. That's actually pretty cool. What was very interesting about seeing this movie, too, is just kind of like, I couldn't imagine, it probably took them a while to make this movie, because they probably had to train the dogs to actually act like actors, and the way they have the dogs, like, in motion, as if they're saying this, I can't really explain it. But yeah, overall, if I had to rate this movie, I gotta give it a 10 out of 10. I can't think of anything wrong with it. I can't even rant about anything on it. Like, I can't rant about anything. There's nothing I hate about this movie. Like I said, maybe that's a biased standpoint because it's more of a nostalgia thing. But I can't think of anything wrong with it. I just tried to trash it. And overall, it's been received very well. And yes, this movie did so well. There's a second one that came out, and I think the second one is just is on par with this one. So I think that's really cool. So I will be next week reviewing for the movie Monday review series. I will be reviewing Homeward Bound 2. So make sure you guys check that out. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please make sure you guys like, comment, and share this video so that way people will watch it. Make sure you guys subscribe to my CM Brothers channel for more content. And make sure you guys click on the bell so that way every time I upload a video on that channel, you guys will get the notification for it. And make sure you guys also subscribe to this channel for more content. And click on the bell so that way every time I upload a video on this channel, you guys will get the notification for it. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.